I pretended to be an elderly woman's son at the nursing home because her real family paid me. After she died, the nursing home director said, "She left one last request for you." She held my hand like I was really her son. I wasn't. I was a broke delivery driver who'd taken $500 a week to pretend. The man who hired me sat down without asking permission. Rich suit, cold eyes. "My mother's in a nursing home," he said. "Name's Rosie. She has dementia. She keeps telling people her son never visits, so visit her." He pushed cash across the table without blinking. $500 a week. Weekends only. Call her mama. Pretend you're Tim. She won't know the difference. I stared at the money. My own mother's prescription bottles were lined up on her kitchen counter like little orange soldiers. Every one of them cost more than I had. I took the cash. "Don't get attached," Tim said. I nodded. I was already lying. Room 214. I knocked once. Rosie sat by the window, thin blanket over her knees, afternoon light on her face. "Mama," I said. The word felt wrong. "It's me, Tim." She searched my face for a long moment. Then she smiled like sunrise. "There you are," she whispered. She cupped my face with shaking hands. "Have you eaten? You look tired." Nobody had asked me that in years. I sat down. I stayed the whole hour. By week 4, I was showing up on Wednesdays. Tim hadn't paid for Wednesdays. I brought tulips, then chocolates. Then I started reading her the newspaper out loud. One afternoon, she leaned close, eyes clearer than usual, and said quietly, "You're a good man, son." I nearly fell apart in that chair. Tim called that Friday, voice tight. "Midweek visits aren't part of the deal, Jeremy. She gets lonely. She has dementia. She forgets you the second you walk out." "Maybe," I said, "but she remembers while I'm there." He hung up. I kept going. Then the nursing home director called on a Tuesday morning. Rosie passed away in her sleep. I set a heavy box down on the wet pavement and just stood there in the rain. "She left something for you, Jeremy." 3 days later, I sat across from Director Helen, a sealed envelope on the desk between us. "She knew you weren't her son," Helen said gently. I looked up. "What?" "From the very first visit. She told me a week in. She asked me to keep her secret." My hands shook as I opened the letter. "My dear boy, who is not my boy." My memory failed me, but my eyes never did. "I knew your face was not his. I let you stay because you stayed. That was enough." A small brass key slipped into my palm. Tim found out 4 days later. He didn't knock. He pounded. "Where is the key?" "It's not yours." "She was my mother, not yours." "Mine." "Then where were you?" That stopped him. For 1 second, something cracked behind his eyes. Then his face went hard again. "You manipulated a sick old woman. I have lawyers, real ones. You'll be lucky to keep your van." He slammed the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. The legal papers came within a week. Undue influence, fraud, predatory behavior. His attorney's settlement offer was one line: "Walk away now, or we take everything you have and everything you will ever have." I didn't walk away. I collected visitor logs, flower receipts, chocolate receipts, statements from 3 nurses and a care aide who had watched me read the newspaper to a dying woman every week for months. And I found Margaret, tiny woman, sharp eyes, cardigan 3 sizes too big. "Rosie told me about you every single day in her last week," Margaret said. "She called you the boy who chose to stay. Would you say that in court?" "I'll say it anywhere they'll let me." The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Tim sat across the aisle in a sharp suit, his lawyer whispering in his ear. When Tim testified, his voice dripped with grief, so polished it squeaked. He preyed on my mother. He saw a vulnerable woman, and he exploited her. My attorney stood up slowly. She handed the judge a folder. "Your Honor, these are bank records showing $500 weekly payments from the plaintiff to my client. And these are text messages where the plaintiff explicitly instructed my client to pretend to be him." Tim's face went the color of copy paper. "Mr. Tim," she said, turning toward him, "when did you last visit your mother yourself?" The silence lasted so long, the judge looked up from her notes. "I couldn't," Tim finally said. "She didn't look like my mother anymore." Margaret took the stand next, 4'11", completely unmovable. "Rosie told me, clear as morning, that Jeremy was the boy who chose to stay. She knew exactly who he was. She chose him anyway." The judge read Rosie's letter without speaking. Then she looked up. "The bequest stands." Tim's chair scraped back hard against the floor. "She knew he wasn't her son all along, and she still chose him over the real one. That was the verdict. Tim could never appeal." Full story on channel, link below.